We begin this morning with breaking news out of Venezuela, where a state of emergency has been declared after two powerful back-to-back earthquakes struck last night. Now, the full extent of damage is still being assessed, but at this moment, at least 164 people have been killed, nearly 1,000 others injured. We expect those numbers to rise. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez says dozens of buildings have collapsed. Rescue efforts to find survivors are also underway. The quakes, measuring in at magnitudes 7.2 and 7.5 respectively, hit the northwest part of the country less than a minute apart from each other. CBS News is first to report that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has spoken with Rodriguez to offer support from the U.S. President Trump has also weighed in, writing that the U.S., quote, stands ready, willing and able to help. CBS News' Jarred Hill has all the latest information for us. Jarred, good morning. What are we learning about what's happening in Venezuela right now?
Incredibly devastating here. We're learning that the death toll is rising ever since this struck just a couple of hours ago yesterday evening, and it's expected to continue to rise as teams search through all of the rubble after these historic back-to-back earthquakes rocked Venezuela. Parts of Venezuela are in ruins after powerful twin earthquakes rocked the South American country Wednesday evening. The first, a 7.2 magnitude. The second, less than a minute later, 7.5. Panic and widespread damage swept across the capital city of Caracas, where people fled buildings before they crumbled. Like a horror movie, one woman described it. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez calling it a serious event with grave consequences. The epicenter of the back-to-back quakes was about 100 miles west of Caracas. Dozens have been reported dead. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the U.S. is sending search and rescue teams, medical resources, and humanitarian assistance to Venezuela immediately.
It was like a minute and a half. The entire house shaking.
After living through this disaster, Rafael Punceles says he's concerned about the long-term impacts on the country.
It worries me that with the economy as it is, this is going to be a big hit to our economy, because probably there will be a lot of damage.
Rescue crews are now combing through the rubble of collapsed buildings, searching for signs of life, sometimes finding moments to applaud in the midst of the devastation, all as families and neighbors wait for answers in a new, uncertain future. Now, for context here, these earthquakes are some of the strongest to hit Venezuela in about a century. The shaking so intense, it could be felt throughout that country as well as parts of Colombia and Brazil. Errol.
Remarkable. Jarred, thank you. We're joined now by Emile Okal. He's a professor emeritus in the Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Northwestern University, joining us from Illinois. Good morning, Professor. As we assess the full extent of damage here, just help our viewers understand how rare it is that there are back-to-back earthquakes and within a minute of one another.
Well, this is not terribly unusual. In that an earthquake rupture depends on the presence of asperities on the fault and so on, and therefore it does not always proceed in a smooth, continuous way. And for the rupture to stop for maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds or so is not in itself particularly unusual. On the other hand, the earthquakes were not separated by enough time to allow for people to evacuate buildings. So this is, in a sense, unfortunate that there was no time for all these people to evacuate between the two earthquakes.
Yeah, no time to evacuate. I understand this also took place on what was a holiday there in Venezuela, so many people were at home. What about the depth of the earthquake? Sometimes that gives us a hint to the scale of the damage. What do you know about that?
Yes, well, the depth is what we call in seismology shadow earthquakes, anywhere from maybe the surface to 30, 40 kilometers down into the earth. And for an earthquake of this size, probably the rupture involved several tens of kilometers or miles into the earth. And of course, the shallower the earthquake, the more damage it can make. Now, what is quite important to realize is that these events took place quite a distance from the capital city of Caracas, to the west of Caracas. And incidentally, they took place at about the same location that there were two also very similar earthquakes in 1967, except that they were much smaller. They were probably magnitude 6 or so. But the scenario was kind of similar, and they took place maybe within a few tens of kilometers of the recent ones. They took place inside, on land, or below the earth, below the land of Venezuela. They did not take place underneath the Caribbean Sea, and therefore the tsunami damage, if there was any, it was very minor. It did not reach very large heights of waves, and certainly did not propagate to distance across the oceans.
I appreciate you joining us, giving us a bit of your context. It's just I'm stunned by the footage we still see coming in from Venezuela. But Emile Okal, thanks for being with us this morning.